So there's this idea that singing is so different from speaking. So when people start to sing, or I've seen this many times with students, especially when I start to work with them, that when they start to sing, they change a lot about their mouth shape, their tongue, and the tongue is something you really want to pay attention to. That I think we can easily miss as teachers, um, because you can look like you're doing everything right. But if the tongue is retracting, if the tip of the tongue is not relaxed, um, it's going to affect the sound. It is going to create unnecessary tension. So I tend to, with my students, start in a place of neutrality. I will ask them to do an easy um, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, da 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 da, and I'll say sing da 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 da, and many times I'll hear them go da 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 da, like a da 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 da, and I'll say, okay, let's try that again. I want you to sing da 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 da, and again I'll hear them go da 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 da. And I think that this most often happens because people have participated in a choir. They have sung in a choir before where they are constantly working to darken and have a bunch of space. And so then when they come to a lesson, they uh, their brain is wired to do that. They go to sing and certain things happen immediately. Um, I will see there's a lot of, like, I would say pulling in of the bottom lip, bottom chin, bottom chin as if you have more than one chin, of your chin and your bottom lip, um, swallowing the tongue, like having the tongue be really low, like drawn back. And so one of the first things we work on is getting them to sing more closely to the way that they speak. So just going da 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 da. So I say da da da. And I say don't change anything. Now just sing it that way. And so there are several benefits to doing this. I mean, number one, as a teacher, you're checking to see what habits your students have when they come to you. You know, that when they think, I'm going to sing, how does their body respond to that? What things does their body do? And it's really a muscle memory thing. Even with students, even before they ever begin singing an actual note, you can watch their body do certain things, the way they breathe, the way you can see that they're mentally preparing. It's this huge process, and trying to sort of rewire that, or I should say, unlearn those things and get them to relax and say, there isn't that much of a difference when you go from speaking to singing. And when you're speaking, you don't think about it. Um, or at least you're not thinking about how you're forming your words and what you're doing with your tongue and all that. You're just speaking naturally. So we want to do that as singers. So that is one benefit of getting them to go to this place of neutrality in the beginning, is so that you can identify what habits they have. Um, and then it's also good for them to be able to see the difference between what happens when they're able to relax and when there isn't such a difference between speaking and singing, and the freedom and the relief that comes with that. And also helping them to appreciate the voice that they have, instead of them thinking that their singing voice is this completely other different thing, which for some students that is a sort of a like a comfort blanket. Like what do they call that? But it's like, yeah, it's a way for them to feel less vulnerable because they're sort of masking their real voice, or they're becoming It's almost like when you are acting on stage, why a lot of people who may even be introverts in real life or feel socially awkward um, feel freer on stage or feel more protected when they're actually playing a character. So there's this interesting thing that happens when you have your singers not cover and do all these manipulative things with their mouth and their tongue and say, "Well, now I'm taking on my singing voice," and having them take on a more natural voice at the beginning. And so I think no matter where your singers are, they could be beginning singers, they could be intermediate or advanced. It is an interesting experiment to have singers go back to this neutral position of just what happens when you go straight from singing to speaking without changing anything. So, for instance, I will use a song that my mom used to sing to me every night. She would sing "Feed the Birds" from, Mary Poppins. And so, she would just she I would be lying in bed, and she would sort of lean over me, and sometimes she would be, like, playing with my hair, and she would sing, "Feed the birds, tuppence a bag, tuppence, tuppence." Tuppence a bag, feed the birds. Tuppence a bag, tuppence, tuppence, tuppence a bag. And so I might be using a little bit more space when I'm doing that. My palate feels more lifted, but there is not a huge difference between me speaking and me singing. So that's what I would recommend to you is when you are with your voice student or you go into your choral classroom, just take a step back and talk to your students. Ask them, is there a difference between what you're doing when you're speaking and singing, and do some experimentation with that. As simple as having them say their name and then singing their name and seeing, does the tongue change? Are they doing all this? Or are they changing the tone of their voice? And getting them to recognize that is a really special thing, because then from there, from that baseline, whatever you do beyond that, I think that they become much more aware of what they're building off of, rather than just doing what they've always done without really any understanding of why they're doing it.